Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of the Inside Sports Podcast. That is with the DE capitalized. It's Cole, Joey, Jordan. We're going to catch you guys up with some dogs at the vet. Men's basketball, they just played last night for us. That's roughly a week ago for you guys. We had a 94-63 win over Arkansas at Little Rock. So we are currently 1-0 overall. And I thought, so we were projected to be, third coming into the Missouri Valley. That game was awesome. I mean, being there, first of all, it seems like, I'm pretty sure Tim Leonard's behind this type of stuff, our new athletic director, but it was an incredible atmosphere last night, talking about with the Dog Pound. I came here last year, and the Dog Pound was all right. We had some pretty fun games together with the Loyola Chicago and everything like that. There was nothing like what we just saw last night. That was an awesome atmosphere when they had the confetti go off and everything at the beginning of the game. I thought we had a great job. One of the things that probably, you'll look at all the three-pointers that we made, and we're a really good three-point shooting team, but they also did an extremely effective job of recognizing that. And so when you'd have an Arkansas at Little Rock defender close out, we'd pump fake, and then we'd get into the hole so we could pass it out for more open shots. So it just kept on being a cycle. I thought it was really, really good. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I just loved specifically from some of the new.
Yeah, I also want to talk about McCarthy's record off of a bye is 14-4, impressively enough somehow. But I mean, a lot of that might have been changed by Rodgers during his prime years when he was good.
Yeah.
But their defense also is just amazingly good at just not giving up points. They're number 3 in the NFL, 16.5 points per game, and they get after the QB. There's nothing that's going to make me think that the Green Bay's offensive line is going to be able to protect Aaron enough in order to give him the time to find whatever receiver is open that he doesn't like or that he doesn't have any type of chemistry with. So I got to go Cowboys in this one, 21, Packers 17.
QBs over there underneath the rim, Juwan Newton, Clarence Rupert, Scotty Abube, they were terrific under the rim.
Yeah.
Just keeping possessions alive, making sure that we get every opportunity we can to just get the ball back or keep our possessions for as long as we can.
100% right.
Getting those rebounds, perfection. I think the best word to talk about last night is just balance.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And you could talk about the balance in terms of, it was a lot of threes and dunks. And now I see you got written here, I'm pretty sure Abube had about 3 dunks. Dalton had a dunk here, but we were also just raining down threes.
Yeah, no, it was really, really impressive. And the thing that really stuck out to me being at that game was we played 11 guys who had a stretch of time, whether they were, going up against their even Little Rock starters. I mean, the depth is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I wrote down here. It's nuts. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up playing 10, 11 guys a game this year. J.D. Mula didn't even play last night. He's a big presence down low. So that was super impressive. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that kind of a performance. Dalton Banks, Lance Jones leading the team in scoring. You said balance. That's the perfect way to describe it. Nobody was putting up 20 shots, just chucking up threes. I mean, everyone got their fair share of the ball last night, and it was incredible to watch.
Yeah. And also incredible to watch, that I forgot to mention, is Lance Jones' hot streak that he had later in the first half. That was just incredible to experience, where he hit just 4 threes right in a row, right in their face too. So that was really, really
I
cool.
think our guy Trent Brown, he nailed the buzzer beater.
He did. That was all. Yeah,
First
Trent
half.
Brown. He hit our first shot and the buzzer beater. That was really awesome. And then the last thing I wanted to say, a little surprised we didn't see Cade Hornecker. I don't know if we're redshirting him potentially, but it would have been kind of fun to see him out there. We were obviously up by 30 down the stretch, so I was a little surprised not to see him. But granted, I don't know, I'm not there. So women's basketball had an exhibition over the weekend where they played McKendree. They defeated them 92-57. Man, we just love to put up 90, don't we? Obviously, their season hasn't started yet, but their season opener is going to be against Middle Tennessee here at Mantera Center Saturday, November 12th. And, it's an exhibition game, so there's not much to take away from it. But, we're basically going to have to feel this team out. I mean, we talked about the men's basketball team having all of those guys, right, that we recognize. I don't even know Kyler Filowich and Stephen Verplankton transferred. We lost Anthony D'Afonso. But other than that, I mean, this is pretty much what we've been rocking with for the past couple of years. That's not the same with the women's basketball team. There's a lot of unknowns with this team, and I really hope that we can have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they needed to do against McKendree, and that was a D2 school, so I don't know how much you want to expect from it, but it was nice we had 5 players earn double-digit in points. Well, what more could you expect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, we're doing our job when we need to in the preseason, and just hoping that goes forward into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it helps to just be the tallest player on the court. That's what Promise Taylor was doing on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like every time we threw it into her, I mean, McKendree didn't have an answer. And I expect that to be the case a few different times this year. So we'll be able to win games just by getting the ball down to her because she's incredible down there.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think Kelly Bond White is going to use these first few games to try and figure out which combos are right and try to get us in a good position to win when Missouri Valley Conference time comes up. I'm not sure if a back-to-back regular season championship is attainable this year. I think, like I said, she's still got a lot to work out and a lot of new faces, but hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get hot.
That's true. And then for the women's volleyball team, they're coming off of a good week. We were talking about last week on the pod. We were like, let's pray for 2 back-to-back wins, and we got those. Indiana State in our last game of the year, senior night, on Saturday, where we defeated Evansville. We're number 3 in the conference. It's looking good. I'm very, very hopeful. But we got to play number 1 in the Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa, on the road, so that's going to be tough. And then number 2 in the Missouri Valley, Drake on Saturday. So it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's 100% not going to be easy. So we're really going to have to pull it together. That being said, I really like the way that our team is playing. I went to that game we played Indiana State last Friday, and Imani Hartfield was playing really, really, really well. Tatum Tornado was playing really, really, really well. Anna Jaworski, she just puts the ball right where it needs to be for these hitters, and that's really been the main reason behind our success this year, I think.
Yeah, and I think you can certainly tell from the coaching that Ed Allen has been doing. You can see a lot of the fight that these girls have. Indiana State is the last team in our conference, but they put up a fight against us. No set was easy to take against Indiana State on Friday. I was there. I watched the game, and but we still managed to come out with wins. 26-24. I think it was like 25-22 in the other sets, similar to that. You can see the determination in this year's team with the older players as well as the younger players that are just already so talented anyway. So I really, really love what we're seeing from Ed Allen this year.
Yeah. I think all that is a testament to the culture that's been built here. I mean, now that I've gotten time to just watch them throughout the whole season, there is a perfect mix of young talent and girls who have been here for a long time, have seen a lot of games. It's just a perfect match. I mean, and like you said, they showed a lot of heart. It's not that we were a ton more talented than the teams we played this weekend. We just have more heart. We just fought better. Again, like I said, that's a testament to Coach Allen. They're doing really well, and I think we're going to get a gauge of how far this team can go this weekend against UNI or Drake. I mean, it'd be great to just even split those and have that momentum heading into their first conference tournament since 2016, which is just nuts to say.
That's insane. Alrighty, and then finally we have our football team, which is coming off of a much-needed bye week. We've got the 4th team in the entire country in North Dakota State coming up. So hopefully we can rebound after those 2 straight losses that we had. Luckily, we did have this bye week coming up so that we can take down North Dakota State. That was actually their first. I can't remember. It was the year before I came, I believe, or maybe it was 2 years before. But they had been undefeated for 4 straight seasons, and then they came here and look at us. We took them off. Maybe we could do it again. We do love to upset teams. The only problem is, we might lose some down the stretch of the season. But that's no matter. We're really looking forward to it. These guys actually got the opportunity to talk to Blake Rolan yesterday. And so we're going to hear about him, and I'm sure probably about Nick Baker's incredible year so far.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I made sure we had to talk about Baker on the podcast a little bit from Roland, who's really, really close with Baker. He's been here since Baker came onto SIU. But, yeah, I think if we want to have any fair shot at the playoffs, we have to win this game.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not going to be easy against a team that just is really dominant, has always been dominant in the Valley every year for the past decade or so. So just I'm really hoping that Nick Baker, in a way, is going to like carry us to a win, but we'll just have to see how the defense kind of plays out this week.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the bye week is going to give us that rest that we need.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if Carson Wentz came back and played for NDSU this weekend. I feel like we'd have a shot.
Yeah.
Or a better shot than we already do. NDSU does have the number 1 offense in Missouri Valley, number 2 defense in Missouri Valley. So, like they are pretty much every year, this is a very well-balanced team. Their only loss in conference this year is to South Dakota State, who plays the same style that they do. I'm pretty sure they're number 1 or 2 in the country themselves. Yes. So, this is a tough test. I like our chances, though. I really do. I mean, I think this team, through these couple losses, I mean, look what happened after we lost the first 2 games, the second of which was inexcusable. Maybe we got screwed, but we went on a 5-game winning streak, beat Northwestern in that too. I think this is the exact same kind of a spot. Playing a team that is probably more talented, but kind of like the volleyball team we just talked about. Are we going to have that heart on senior day? A lot of guys playing their last game in the Saluki uniform, so I'm hoping that'll give them the motivation, and I'd love to see an upset. I think we all would, because at this point, that's our only shot to get in the playoffs now.
Yeah, I really like what you said, where you kind of detailed that this was kind of a good matchup for us, and I think that there's a little bit of truth there in terms of North Dakota State. Just one thing, when you watch them, they love to run the ball. Well, where did we get torched against Northern Iowa? With our defensive backs and allowing way too many passing yards. Not to say that North Dakota can't pass, but their quarterback now, I think it's Cam Miller, is not the same as Trey Lance or Carson Wentz, not necessarily. So. Plus our offense, I'm going to say it, we're likely going to struggle running the ball. That would just make sense with North Dakota State's incredible history in the trenches. But, I mean, we talked about it. Nick Baker's lighting it up right now. They have a lot of good players on defense, but I think that there is a chance. I'm not gonna count it out. I think that's a good way of saying it. So that's going to be it for Dogs at the Vet, but let's cut to Salukis Space, where we see their conversation with offensive coordinator Blake Rolan.
Welcome back, everyone. Today it's me and Jordan here with Salukis Space. We're going to be talking to offensive coordinator Blake Rolan with the Salukis, and I guess we'll just get right into the questions. Just a little warm-up, I guess. What's kind of like your favorite pre-game activity? What kind of gets you hyped up for a game in general?
Hyped up at age 41, a little bit different than it probably was at 21. But I actually on game days typically reconnect with some friends I haven't talked to in a little bit. Throughout the weeks we get pretty busy, so on game day I'll make a couple phone calls, friends or family. I like to listen to podcasts or and go for a run every once in a while. Maybe get if we're at home, maybe get some shots up in the gym. So take your mind off of it. But yeah, that's a couple hours before the game, and then in between those 2 hours before the game, you're sort of just make sure your guys are ready and get your mind right. So
you're not usually munching on some food just last second, some Skittles or M&Ms or anything like that?
No, not so much. We have a team. We have a pregame meal, 3-4 hours before the game, and so I try to stack up there, carb load, for that long afternoon. But so maybe some gummy bears, something like that. Swedish fish. Those are some go-tos. And then within probably 30-40 minutes before the game, maybe a little energy drink or something. So yeah.
Is there anything you like to do around the Southern Illinois area? I mean, hiking in the nature around here is a big recruiting pitch for not just sports, but just coming here in general. And you did mention before we started that you had kids, so I don't know if you had a whole lot of time for that, but what is something about Southern Illinois that you like to do when you're not crunching all the X's and O's on the pre-sport?
Yeah, I wish I could say hunt more or fish more. I love to do that. Grew up doing that down in Georgia. I'd love, I've been duck hunting a couple of times with Coach Hill. He's got a couple spots around here. That's sort of during our season. Started, I think, this past weekend or something with duck season. But that's one of my passions. Don't get to do, but maybe once or twice a year. But then, in the spring or in the summer, definitely with 4 kids, they don't let you play golf too much anymore. There's a couple golf courses around we'll play. And then get on the boat. One of my in-laws has a boat, and we'll get it for a couple weeks during the summer and take it out. Coach Poor lives on the Lake of Egypt, and so we like to get out there on the water a couple of times a year with the kids.
It's awesome. I don't know if you've noticed the deer here are a little bit bigger than they are other places.
Yeah, no, I noticed that because I live off of 51 right here.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of deer being smashed
Yeah.
at night. Thankfully, thank God I haven't hit one yet. Been close a couple times in the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're massive. A little bit different than those deer in Georgia or in Alabama or wherever else I've lived. So
Absolutely.
We mentioned a little bit earlier the X's and O's when you get down to that. You had a little bit more time this week with the bye week to implement some things. Are there some other new things that you're going to try to implement this week in the game plan, just in terms of X's and O's?
I can't tell you that. I'm just kidding. No, we're part of the past week we've also been on the road recruiting, and so that's one thing you give coaches a lot of time. It usually is not as beneficial as you would think. You sort of try to do too much stuff sometimes. So that's one thing over the course of doing this for a little while now. You've really definitely spend probably a little bit more time watching them, evaluating them, getting a plan together. But it's trying not to increase the amount of plays or trying to be too much for the players to handle, for the coaches to handle. But against this type of defense, they've been doing the same thing for the same way for a long time. And that's why I would too. Keep winning the same amount of games every year. They've got a great program. So you know what you're going to get from them. It's not like they're going to give you tons of multiple different things every week. Like some defenses sort of do that, but this defense, North Dakota State's defense, they're sound. They're going to do what they do. They'll have a couple wrinkles in for each game, each week. And for us, we just got to really dial in on get our guys to plan maybe a little bit earlier in the week than we typically would, and so that we can just try to execute those better during practice and for the game. But nothing too. We'll have one or two things that they haven't seen or people haven't seen, but nothing too extravagant. So trying to be cleaner and better at what we do.
So in terms of day-to-day activities for players and coaches, when there is a bye-week or 2-week stretch where you're not playing, do you take what you would normally do on a regular 1-week rest period and kind of extrapolate that out to a 2-week span, or do you just kind of give them the week off? And obviously you guys said you were recruiting, or do you just say come back on Monday and hit it hard when it's actually the game week?
No, we definitely try to give them some time for their bodies to recover. You think about playing 9 straight weeks, and also going in before that having fall camp for 3-4 weeks. So they've gone, now 12 or so weeks in a row. Their bodies, their minds need a break. And so after the game, we give them a couple days to get away, to become more of a college student and have a couple days just not to worry about football or banging their bodies. And so then you bring them back gradually a little bit physically in the weight room with Coach Meade and on the field, sort of amp back a little bit up to. So we gave them off, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, came back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Had a pretty good practices those days. And then really more so to develop our younger guys, the guys who haven't played as many reps during the season, haven't played any reps during the season. It's a big focus on those guys, developing them for the next year or for later this season. And then you really give them off Saturday. Sunday we brought them in just to make sure everybody's back in town. They wanted to go home on Friday. And then this week we'll start back up with a modified week of a normal week. But yeah, you give them a couple days, 3 days with their bodies to recover, their minds to get in the right space. While as coaches, we're trying to do the same thing a little bit, not so much bodies but minds. And then also we got to regroup and recruit for the next this upcoming signing class. It's a never-ending process kind of deal. But for the players, hopefully they come back well rested, ready to attack the finishing part of the season.
You talked about you as coaches also trying to just maybe get away. Do you find yourself, do you need to even travel, just literally get out of the area in a way? What do you need to do in order to get away in a sense?
Yeah, it's hard if I'm not being forced to do something to stay out of the office. I do find myself here a lot or game planning or getting ready, watching film, trying to see new things from other teams across the country as well. But fortunately with 4 kids, they do provide some take you away from here, taking you at the drive them to practice, or I like to get them, try to take them to baseball practice or basketball, or take them to dinner or lunch. Surprised them a couple weeks ago and took them out class for my two ones who were in elementary school. Took them to lunch one day, sort of surprised them on that because I don't see them very much during the week. So those are fun things to do. And then this past week, though, get on the road and you get recruiting. And you see these high school coaches and players, and that's another way to get away from maybe the structured yearly during the season process. But I drove a lot. I mean, I drove from here to North Florida, Crestview, Florida, and that was about a 9-10 hour drive, and then I drove back up from there through Georgia to like 3 or 4 spots, and then drove back here in 3 days or 2.5 days. So, it's a lot of podcasts, a lot of books I'm listening to or something. Get your mind off a little bit.
And I'm hoping one of those was Inside Sports, right?
Yeah, it's going to be. Yes. It's definitely. I got to get back to Coach Clark's episode. Our dude's pretty good. So,
big audiobook guy then.
Yeah, I like audiobooks, Audible. Yeah, definitely put a lot of time on those.
Absolutely. So more on the field stuff. Not only are you the OC, but you're the QB's coach as well. And you've been here with Nick Baker ever since he was a freshman. You guys got here at the same time. So how was his development? Has it surprised you at all? Or how is it, just kind of get into how his development has taken place over the last few years? And when he came in against NDSU a couple of years ago, made that big start and that big win, how have you seen him grow in the last few years?
Yeah, definitely is surprising. You walk in, you meet him. My first days here on the job was seeing him and Stallovano. They were really the prototype quarterback size and everything. But his determination, his hard work ethic is sort of just the pride in what he does is what I think helped him become a good quarterback. But his growth from the time I got here to now is really just taking it more, I guess you'd say, as a professional approach, or really diving in on watching film, studying opponents, critiquing himself more throughout camp and spring ball and stuff. First he, stubborn sort of, but it helps him get play where he is, being a little bit stubborn or being like, I'm going to show you. And I think through the course of time working with him, he's definitely seen some things that he can improve upon. And, we also, as coaches, see what he does well or what he may not do as well, and try to give him those better opportunities to perform well. But yeah, his growth has come with just taking those times on the practice field or in the film room or being up here a lot, watching film a lot more important to him. You can see that the way he prepares and goes out of practice, and it's been a good improvement to see.
Awesome. We've talked a lot about on the podcast. There seems to be, I don't want to almost call it formula, because this also happens with a lot of other QBs. You give him the time that he needs to do it for his progressions and everything, and you'll find success on the offense. Do you seem to find a link to that, or is it something maybe deeper that we're just not seeing, I guess?
You're saying in terms of just giving him time to move around or make a play and make it be productive? Yeah, no, I feel like obviously with the quarterback, a lot of that is based on protection. If you're talking about in the pass game, fortunately we do a lot of what we call RPOs, or run pass options, and some play actions and some movement throws to sort of help defense to stay off balance and not just have a straight rush attack at us in the pass rush lanes. But with his size, he's not going to be as most comfortable just sitting in the pocket behind O lineman and D lineman in front of him. So we got to be able to move him around. And if we're doing a good job with the run game and setting up opportunities to throw off the run game, either in the RPO world or play actions, it's definitely going to help him out. And also just moving the pocket. He's athletic. He can make plays on the move, and he can create or extend plays, and that's where you see a lot of football, a lot of big plays being produced all across the country are when quarterbacks escape the pocket, create a play, make a guy miss a tackle, extend it a little bit longer, and make those DBs cover longer. So that's one thing with him, and then our receivers being able to separate and do that. That's something he's really good at. So we try to, obviously don't want him to get pressured. We don't need the ball out of his hand. And with certain calls or alignments, formations, and things in quick game, just try to change up the monotony, I guess. If it was just a straight drop back passing game, hand the ball off. You got to be able to, extend it for him, create better passing lanes for him by doing play actions and movement throws and things like that. So.
Now, there's obviously a lot of talent on this offense. I mean, you know that as well as anyone else does. A lot of seniors, a lot of guys who've been here for a long time or just been in college ball for a long time. Well, how much flexibility does it give you knowing that Nick has played with two of your best receivers, arguably, Avante and Deontay? I mean, he's been with them since he was in high school. So how much flexibility does that give you when game planning or designing plays in the offseason?
Yeah, no, he's coming back like this year. You have a lot of experience in offense, and so you don't have to you don't worry as much about them retaining some information, being able to expand on the offense earlier in camp or throughout the certain amount of days during the week. So that's been beneficial for sure. I mean, you're not teaching a lot of young guys, a lot of new information throughout the week. So having older guys, having the Cox brothers. The one thing with the Cox, like Deontay hadn't played in a while, has a lot of experience with Baker, of course, but getting him in here and then having his brother Avante, they're always on top of each other, making sure they're lined up right, doing the right things and stuff. But it definitely helps create a unique or a fun offense in terms of being able to do multiple things. I think a little bit easier than it would have been if they were younger, less experienced players in those skill positions. Really, our tight ends have to know a lot. You got guys like Jacob Garrett, who's been here for a while now, and definitely one of our leaders. I mean, we asked those guys to do a lot in our offense, and so we're able to move people around. That's one thing I think offensive that we do. It causes some defenses some issues, and hopefully not us as much, but really just multiple formations and motions and alignments and personnel packages with Javon and things like that. So, yeah, our running back room is pretty experienced. The receivers room had a couple of guys coming back, and then with tight ends as well. So it definitely helped us be a little more creative.
Do you ever get the twins confused when they're not wearing the uniforms?
I used to a lot. Now, I guess it's being around them. I can see the difference a little bit. It's funny. My 5-year-old, that when Avante had broken his hand during fall camp, I think it was, and my family, they're pretty tied to football and stuff. It means a lot to them. But my wife told them that Avante broke his hand, and they were all sort of bummed out. But then my wife then said, "But we got a secret weapon," and they were like, "What's that?" And like, his twin brother. They don't know about his twin brother, and they're like, "Really?" My 5-year-old really grasped onto that part, and so for Halloween he wanted to be Deontay Cox, the secret weapon. So that's helped me sort of keep them. Which one's the secret weapon and which one's the known weapon?
There
I
we
guess.
go. That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's the most adorable thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I got to go back to talking about Avance, I guess, a little bit. It's not a secret that some NFL teams have even tried to talk to Avance and everything. Because of that, do you almost feel pressure in a way to try to get the ball to him a little bit more than maybe you might think of other players, or is it more of just you got to do what's the best chance for you guys to get it?
Yeah. No, I think it's always about what's best for the team, and I think for our team, what's best for our team is for him to have success, So that's sort of good players just like that, and but no, we definitely think about, hey, we got not for NFL purposes, but really for the betterment of our team's success and our offense. Is we got to get him the ball. Here's some certain ways early in the game to create some plays for him to get the ball. Offensively, in our majority of our offense, it really is going down to the progression of what the defense gives you, who's getting those throws. But the ball usually finds the good players, the guys who are creating space and getting open, which he can do. But definitely in terms of the success of our team, getting him in alignments or in certain plays designed for him to get touches, we'd like to get him the ball early, get him involved, and it helps our offense go. I think the biggest thing for Avante in regards to NFL and future football is really is special teams focused, having him on some certain roles on special teams where that's where he has to develop film and for those guys to see, and he knows that. We've talked about that in the off season. His special teams value is a big thing for him and for all guys want to play in the NFL. So.
Absolutely. So lately, in the last couple of games, they've been pretty close. You guys have had to run a lot of 2-minute drills. So what's going through your mind when that's happening, when the game is hanging in the balance? Obviously, you have a lot of experience, guys who have been in this situation at this level a lot. Is there a certain go-to play you like to go to? I mean, you don't have to, obviously don't tell us to play, but is there a certain go-to play? Is there a player you like to get the ball in their hands? I mean, kind of just what's going on.
Yeah, in 2-minute situation, you don't want to take a sack, obviously, right? You got to get the ball out of your hand. And so we're trying to create a completion on that first down play. It doesn't have to be down the field very far. If you watched, even like last night, watching Tom Brady do it for the 69th time in a fourth quarter comeback, it's like, how many of those throws were 7-8 yard completions? There are a lot of them there. And so they're typically going to give you those underneath or those flat routes early in the 2-minute situation. But for a quarterback's confidence, for the offensive confidence, to get a completion early is critical. And so you'll see us probably getting the ball at the flat, either to the tight end or a tailback, or a quick game throw to a receiver. But for the quarterback, the worst thing during a 2-minute situation to do is take a sack. And so we're trying to make sure that throughout fall camp, and during the season, when we practice these 2-minute situations every week, that's obviously an emphasis. But yeah, you'll see some plays that are designed to maybe have a shot deep quickly, but then also always having somewhere to get the ball out quick, the flat, so our guys can get out of bounds, get enough yards to maybe get a first down. But yeah, I mean, completions are your best friend right there.
And unfortunately, I do have to just talk a little bit about how the ending of the last couple of games did play out. Just how are you going to try to just move on, I guess, from the way that they did play out, regardless of whether it was the offense's fault, whoever's fault it was? How are you just going to try to move on from that, I guess?
That's the thing about this game. You have another opponent ahead that sort of requires you to put your focus on that. It's hard. After really that Sunday, when you watch the film Saturday night or Sunday, and you come back in and you really knock it out with the guys on Monday mornings, it's supposed to be out of your head, out of your way. Obviously you think about certain moments, but hopefully we're learning from those moments. And it's typically in those situations, it shows up in that 2-minute situation and the game plays. But there's those 6 to 7 plays before that really put you in those situations, And so we're trying to learn from that, grow from that. Our players seeing what could have been done differently before those situations occur, but also it gives us, plenty of teaching moments and lessons to learn throughout. I mean, every game in this league is going to probably come down. Most of them are going to come down to the last possession, our one possession games, and we know that, and our players know that, and so those 2 or 3, 4 plays in between the first and third quarter that really dictate where you are in those final minutes are huge. And that's one thing you talk about the off week and getting ready for North Dakota State. It's the details in those maybe you get 50, 60, 70 plays in that game. That determines where you are in those last couple of minutes. But yeah, the last couple of weeks have been tough. I thought our guys last week in the final, I think we get the ball at about, I forget how many seconds it was, the minus 30-yard line, 35-yard line, and had a chance to throw the ball in the end zone to end the game. But there were things in that situation there we could have done a little bit better. Could gain some more yards, so it wasn't quite as long of a throw possibly. And so our players see that, definitely emphasize that throughout the weeks, and hopefully we learn from those critical moments.
Watching that as an obligatory fan like myself, I mean, that was heartbreaking. I can't imagine how heartbreaking it was for you guys on the sideline.
Yeah, it was. But I'm in the box, so I had to see all the emotion of the sideline, and so I've never been in that situation before. I think I've been doing this now for about 15 years in college, and I've never won the game on a Hail Mary or lost it, I don't believe, but I've definitely never have seen us catch the Hail Mary and not score. And so to see that emotion up and down, it is crazy. So you hate for the players. That's the way you hate it for. Their experience in college or their moments there, but learn from it and move on.
Yes, sir. What is it like? We've had a couple of games this year like this. Admittedly, I think everyone knows it at this point, where the offense has played really, really well, and you still end up losing the game. So what do you say to your guys, particularly the quarterbacks? What do you say to your offense? It's like, man, guys, we played a good game. Obviously, there's still stuff you probably could have done more, though. I'm sure that's probably what you're going to say. But what is the message, when you guys play so well offensively, you still don't end up winning the game?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's been many games where we just play so well offensively that we felt like we did enough to win. Our goal, number one goal, is to score more points than the opponent. Some weeks that might be 10, some weeks that might be 54. The good teams, they play well off of each other. That's when we're at our best. And but offensively, I can't imagine coming into the offense and being like, guys, y'all did everything that was required. It's the defense's fault, or it's the kicker's fault. Like, that's never going to happen. So, and they know that. So there's definitely ways that we can. It's very the film doesn't lie. It's very obvious when you pull it up. Like, if we'd have done this better, we would have scored this many more points, and then that game wouldn't have been. We wouldn't have lost, or whatever it may be. But our goal is to score more, or score as much as it takes to win the game, not turn the ball over, have big plays and things like that. So watching the film, it's pretty, I wouldn't say black and white because it is in color, but it's clear, it's evident, what we can do better to put ourselves in better situations, not get the ball back to the other team's offense so they can have their drive, things like that. So
it's kind of clear just from chatting with you a little bit here that your experience is kind of bringing a lot just to this team. I have written down here, you have 10 plus experience with some of these big name schools. You got Auburn, Tennessee, Cincinnati, West Georgia, Kentucky, and Dixie State under your belt, and now of course SIU. What are you just trying to bring from those experiences to this 2022 Saluki team? I guess season's already coming to a close here now. What are you just bringing into these offensive players' heads?
Yeah, been fortunate enough to be around really good coaches that I've coached with, and also been around really good players. Great players make coaches a lot better. We're a lot better with great players, and so, the experience, I guess, that comes through these situations, like the 2-minute situations at the end of games, preparation for an off week, a bye week, watching how quarterbacks, the great ones, prepare each week, and really hopefully getting better at the end of the season than you are at the beginning. I know basketball, you watch those great basketball teams that go into the tournament, they're at their best, and get into March. That's how we want to be. We want to steadily improve each week. In some ways we have, in other ways we got to find ways to do that better. But throughout my time, in the SEC or the AAC, out in Utah, you're learning stuff every day, just like you guys are with podcast and school and everything. But hopefully I can give examples and get us on track to end the season well, and improve each day, not let it get mundane, and not let it get boring on the field in practice, and showing ways how we can improve, and then referring to examples of the past and those other places I've been. But yeah, we still hopefully have a lot of football to play this year, and hopefully our quarterbacks and our offensive guys and our players really see and feel that way as well. I think they do after meeting with them last night a little bit. But this is a great opportunity this week, and you don't get these opportunities very often. You put a lot of time in for 10, 11, 12 games in the season, guaranteed for you, but you put a lot more days than that in the weight room or on the field, and for us to be able to come out and put a good product on the field next, on Saturday is huge.
And lastly, we got 2 more weeks left in the regular season. What can Saluki fans expect from not just your side of the ball, but from the Saluki football team in general? Obviously, starting with this huge test on Saturday for Senior Day against North Dakota State.
Yeah, our guys definitely understand the importance of it. We got a lot of great leaders in our locker room. I think the fans can expect guys who really care about this place, who are going to play hard. I don't feel like you're going to watch many at all SIU games instead of those guys are playing very hard. Those guys don't love this, and so I think they can come out there and see that, and see a team that's beat North Dakota State. A lot of guys in this room have done that before, and it's a little bit different than it was probably 3, 4, 5 years ago playing against these guys. So hopefully they come out and they see a team that's really hungry and really knows how important this is for themselves, for the program, for the team, for the fans, for people in this area. So a lot of guys, it means a lot too, and I think that'll be pretty evident on Saturday.
Really, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that'll do it here for our Salukis Space segment. It's Joey, Jordan, and Coach Rolan. We thank you for coming out with us, and we'll get to you with our Told You So segment.
Alrighty. For this week's I Told You So, I unfortunately went down for my picks. I'm shooting roughly a 63% correct pick percentage, 26-15. I still blame Jordan and Joey for screwing me over on the Tennessee game. I was going to pick Georgia. It was in Athens. Georgia has that dog in them clearly, and they came out and they punched Tennessee right in the mouth. And so I'll take the L on that one. I shouldn't have listened. The one I got right though, Texas over Kansas State, baby. Woo boy, that was a good one.
Took 'em horse.
We basically did the same thing that Texas always does. Can you please come back? Please come back and beat us. Luckily, Adrian Martinez doesn't know how to take care of the football, so we did come out luckily in that one. Turns out I was completely wrong. I remember coming on here and giving the hot take. I was like, there's no way LSU stands a chance. It's Bama. Turns out I'm wrong on that one, too. Did you get the chance to watch that game?
I did.
It was
that
awesome.
Was one of the best games I've seen.
That was so awesome. And I was rooting to be wrong on that one. Everybody likes to see
Yeah,
Bama
of
fall.
course.
And then finally, I guess I just don't know ball because Notre Dame upset number 5 Clemson. What a turd sandwich DJ Uyunglele is. I know DJ, you're watching. I'm sorry, you're a turd sandwich. I mean, he throws out 2 ducks. He has like a really, really good game against Wake Forest. And every guy goes, oh, okay, he's turning it around. Clearly not, because he had an awful game against Syracuse and he has an awful game against Notre Dame. I'm honestly questioning Dabo Sweeney right now. Like, put in Cade.
I think he's more to blame in his offensive coordinator. He promoted like an intern to be their OC this year.
Exactly.
I think DJ still got the tools. I think if he transfers to a place like, I don't know, Ohio State, for example, he could be a really good quarterback. He could be a really good quarterback next year. I'm still a believer in DJ, but just not at Clemson. It's just not a fit.
That is very interesting.
It's not a fit. I think he should get out of Dodge if his dad lets him.
You know what I saw what I think would be very interesting, because we talked about potentially DJ Uyunglele like transferring in my apartment. Shout out my roommate Eli. He's an Oregon fan.
Mm-hmm.
His brother's getting a lot of DJ's brother's getting a lot of interest from Oregon. I could really see that one.
No, that'd be great.
But anyways, let's get to the games this week. We have Bama at Ole Miss. This one's a super weird one because I don't love Ole Miss, but Bama on the road, and this, I mean, it's clear now that this is not the same Bama that we've had in the past couple of years. This is very, it reminds you of that year, I believe Tua got injured early in the year. That was the first we'd ever seen of Mac Jones, and that was another 2-loss season, which it is very funny to be like, oh, 2-loss season, this year's team is terrible. But they're not. But they are also multiple plays away from being, a 4-loss team. You talk about that Texas game and that terrible non-safety call. I just don't think Ole Miss's defense can do it, but I do expect Quinshon Judkins, who's probably my favorite running back in the country besides Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to put up a hefty number on them because Bama's defense just hasn't been there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the mentality is for these teams in this game. I mean, Bama hasn't been 7-2? They haven't been they haven't had 2 losses this early in the season for what feels like forever.
Yeah.
It's probably before Nick Saban even got there. In his Ole Miss career, though, this is a pro Bama stat, and I hate giving pro Bama stats. But Lane Kiffin is only 1-5 against the spread after a bye in his Ole Miss career. So that includes not just bye weeks, but like bowl games.
Yeah.
And things like that too. So that scares me. Ole Miss is one of those teams we're kind of waiting for them to crack, but
yeah,
Bama, I don't even know if they're even gonna have any motivation anymore. Like I was just saying. So I don't know. The stat is pro Bama though.
Yeah. So I don't know. That one's going to be an interesting one. I honestly don't even want to pick anything yet. Next, we have UCF at Tulane. This is a surprising kind of ranked matchup we got here. Tulane's having an incredible year. I remember early in the season they beat Kansas State, and everybody was talking about the upcoming game against when Kansas State played Oklahoma the first time. When Oklahoma was like top 5 ranked and everything, and your boy called the upset or anything. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But they were like, Kansas State lost to Tulane. They're not very good. Clearly, they were wrong about this Tulane team. They're very, very good. However, personally, I'm a big John Rice Plumlee fan, the QB for UCF. And so I'm going to take UCF in this one. I like Gus Malzahn. I like what he's doing with that University of Central Florida fan base. It's unfortunately not in the bounce house, which does make me a little bit worried, but screw it. I'm going to take, what do they take? Golden Knights, right?
Yes, I think so.
I think.
Or just the Knights.
I'm going to take UCF. Let's go with that. That sounds a lot better.
Unfortunately, the fact that this isn't in the bounce house and it's at Tulane actually helps Tulane out. Their head coach, Willie Fritz, is the best in the American Athletic Conference as a home favorite since he took over in 2016. He is 19-8
really
against spread as a home favorite. And I think they are favored by, 2 in this game, Tulane is. So, yeah. I mean, Tulane's been one of the great surprises this year.
Yeah.
They've been incredible to watch. So is UCF, though. And I think that combination of what Malzahn wants to do on offense, ground and pound, John Rice probably fits perfectly into that. So This is going to be one heck of a game.
I know. I'm
not enough people are going to watch this game, but it's going to be one heck of a game.
It really will be. Next, we have UNC at Wake Forest. This is a fun one. I mean, expect a 52-45 final score here. Drake May and Sam Hartman are two of not only the best quarterbacks in the ACC, but two of the best quarterbacks in the country, I'd say. I mean, I guess I wouldn't put them all the way up there, but you could arguably say that about Drake May, though. I believe he's 6th in Heisman odds right now. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to go with Wake Forest in this one just because they're home. And I don't think UNC is good enough to be like a 2-loss team this year. 1, 2, 3. Okay, what? I don't think UNC is nearly as good to be like a 2-loss team this year. I think they have to lose one. I could expect Wake Forest to be pretty excited about this one. You know, UNC's getting a lot of traction, and so I'm going to take Wake Forest in this one. I just don't think UNC is like that much better. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree, and they've played a lot of close games too. UNC has.
Mm-hmm.
This is a similar stat to Willie Fritz at Tulane. Dave Clawson, head coach of Wake Forest, he's the best in the ACC versus ranked opponents against the spread since he took over in 2014. He's 17-8-1. So I think I like Wake Forest in this game too.
Yeah. 2
very high-powered offenses. We're going to talk about the Heisman in just a second. I think Drake May's got a better shot than people realize right now. We'll talk about that more in just a second.
I kind of like that you pointed that out. Final game day pick. TCU at Texas, baby, in Austin. I'm excited. God, if we win this one, I'd be stoked. That would put us at an 8-win team already. Oh my gosh, that would just be a dream come true. Wait, or would it not? No, it wouldn't put that in.
7-3.
Sorry. We'd be 7-3, but I think that we could beat Kansas and Baylor.
Yes.
Nevertheless, Robinson exploded on Saturday, just like he does every week. I mean, his ability to take the ball and then he's got like 2 guys with their hands fully around him, and then he gains like an extra 4 yards every play. It's insane. He's like as shifty as a back as you could want while also maintaining that power. I genuinely think we could see him as, this could be just dumb Texas fan stuff, but I think that he's so good that, say, potentially you have a team middle of the first round. I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but I think they could take a swing at Bijan Robinson at the number 19th pick, something like that.
Interesting.
That's high up for a running back. I mean, clearly the Cowboys and I think it was
Giants.
Yeah,
Saquon.
Giants and Saquon. Didn't Leonard Fournette get taken 4th too?
Yeah.
So he's not going to go that high. I think everybody's learned their lesson on that. But he is so good that we're really going to see some special stuff with Bijan Robinson.
Is he a senior?
He is a junior, so he could come back. And I honestly, people are saying that there's no chance, at least people that I talk to. But I don't know. I feel like Texas, that booster money, they'd be like, hey, we're building something special, especially if we win this weekend. We're building something special. We need you for 1 more year. We want to take us to that next hump. I think that he could want to do that. I think that we're kind of a weirdly good matchup for TCU, but also in the same way, they're a terrible matchup for us. If I could try and explain that and expand on that a little bit further. So, the stuff that we're really good at, right, on defense is outside the middle hashes. We're so good at that.
Yeah.
Where we get the Max Duggan read options, they're not going to work. We rarely let up super big plays. Where we have this giant hole is right in the middle. If you want a 7-yard slant against Texas, go ahead. We don't. I care. Apparently, we're just going to give you those 7 yards. That being said, Max Duggan's ability to run, drop back, QB draw, something happens. I think that could be a really big deal for us, especially in terms of giving up big leads, right?
Yeah.
That's something that we've been doing throughout Sark's tenure, which makes me a little bit on the edge about him. I've been very pro Sark, but I don't know. That Kansas State, if he lost that one, I would be very, very worried. I'm gonna take Texas, just because it's in Austin. I think Austin's gonna be rocking, horns up, baby. But I'm just gonna be honest. I could see TCU winning. We had trouble with TCU, but now we have Gary Patterson. It's a whole thing. I think it's gonna be an offensive battle. Definitely look for a lot of points in this one. Sonny Dykes versus Steve Sarkisian, but I'm gonna take Texas.
The stat will back you up on this one.
Yeah.
Texas is favored, I think, by a touchdown in this game.
That's ridiculous.
Shows how little respect they have for TCU.
That is ridiculous.
TCU doesn't have any respect. They're a touchdown underdog in this game.
That's ridiculous.
Which I think is crazy.
That is crazy.
But Sark, in his career at Texas, I know you said he likes to blow leads, but when he's at home, he's 7-3 against the spread as a home favorite, which is kind of crazy. I mean, so if he's favored at home, not only does he win, he wins big. So I mean,
that's true.
Selfishly, I want TCU to run the table because I don't want another SEC team to get in there. I don't want Tennessee to somehow sneak in there. So stat backs Texas up. I mean, I'm off Texas now. I mean, we've talked about this off the air. I'm off Texas now. I'm off the train. I'm on the Horned Frog train. Let's go.
I do like the Horned Frog, and I've always been a Horned Frog.
After coming in with the Texas jersey, you
I know, right?
Really? You had something going with this kid.
Yeah, but then they lost to Oklahoma State.
That one wasn't fun. All right.
Yeah,
that wasn't fun for anybody.
I was only on the train for them to get to the playoffs.
There was a lot of wind. There was a lot of wind.
Did only Texas play in the wind?
It was Quinn Ewer's first time on the road in a heated environment.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get it, buddy. You wouldn't get it.
Actually, I would. My team played in a little tornado on Saturday, so.
I just witnessed a betrayal over here.
Seriously.
No, I put out the conditions and terms a few weeks ago when I wore the Texas shirt, and they betrayed me. So I have no choice.
Yeah, all right, buddy. Don't expect for anybody to be rooting for Ohio State in the game.
I don't. I hope they don't.
Alrighty. Let's talk on the NBA real quick. I'm actually shooting very good for my NBA picks this year. I'm actually sitting at 6-1, 86%.
Is that the same that you shoot? Your shooting percentage?
Absolutely. I don't miss, clearly. But Nuggets at Celtics. I like the Celtics in this one. Nuggets are really on and off. I pick the Nuggets a lot in these games, and some of the times I'm right, and some of the times I am very wrong. I think that Nikola Jokic is incredible, and I really like all the pieces that they talked about. We've already talked about all this. I like the Celtics right now, even though they're missing a couple pieces. Marcus Smart's defense hasn't been nearly as good as it was last year, but I think they'll be fine. I think it's all going to be all right. Cavs at Warriors. This one's also on Friday. Cavs are awesome to watch. If you guys haven't watched the Cavs, watch them. They still have their giant lineups in Dean Wade, Lauri Markkanen's gone, Kevin Love, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, all those guys so awesome. Donovan Mitchell has really put that team to the next level. I also love Darius Garland. Darius Garland's an awesome point guard. I'm going to take the Cavs in this one at the Warriors, because the Warriors, I don't know if you guys checked, the Warriors are winning games. They're like 3-7 right now. I believe they might even be 3-8, maybe 4-7, something like that. So that punch maybe be something more than what we all originally thought. Who knows? And then the final game I wanted to highlight is on Saturday, Blazers at Mavs. I kind of like both these teams. I actually didn't like. These are two teams that I didn't like before the season. I thought that they would do one of these, but I like the Mavs because I love Luka. I loved him coming out of the draft, and I just think that Luka's probably. I don't know if he's the front runner. I guess I probably wouldn't say that, but he's definitely up there right now. I'm going to take the Blazers, though, just because I think they have a lot of wing defenders that are really, really good. And I just want to put on the record that I've always been an Anthony Simons guy when he was drafted either within the 20s. I remember he was drafted within, and I really liked his film. and he's so shifty. I mean, he's almost like I honestly think he could be better than C.J. McCollum ever was. I think that Dame has been, dude. Dame has been a good role model. Do you watch Anthony Simons play?
Yeah.
He is so he's like a more athletic C.J. McCollum.
Yeah, he's good.
And he's I'm pretty sure he's the age now where C.J. McCollum was in his like second year in the league. Like it's been a couple of years. I like C.J. McCollum. I think he's been awesome for the Pelicans in particular. But I'm gonna take the Blazers, and I think Anthony Simons goes for 20+.
Back to football, the better sport. I like football.
Hey.
But
I agree.
I went 3 for 3 this week.
This is
and
bullshit.
I am kind of on the rise a little bit. I'm at 75.75 CPP. That's that's better than even I expected. Not gonna lie.
No one cares.
So that means I'm a little over. 12%
I think he's fibbing.
better.
I don't think this. I think he's lying.
I mean,
I think we're not
I
checking
check.
the doc nearly enough.
I check it.
He's putting all of them at wins.
I picked.
I
the
beat you on
Bucks.
NBA. Shut up. I don't care. Go.
I don't pick NBA. Get
Yeah,
out of
whatever.
here.
Whatever.
What do you
Bob's
mean?
86% buddy numbers don't lie.
The Bucks outlasted the Rams just barely, because of that resurging game-winning drive by Tom, which was so weird. He was just completely out of it all game, and then all of a sudden he's back to like prime Tom Brady again. What do you know? They're 4-5, and who knows? They might go on a run to survive, get to the playoffs this year. I don't know about the Rams though. I don't know if they can do that. But anyways, Chiefs survived overtime against the Titans on Sunday Night Football. Mahomes, he passed it 68 times. I want to say that's close to the record. I don't know by how much, but I'm pretty sure that's got to be close to the record of how many attempts in one game.
He was pretty insane that game.
I wonder if the record is past 70. But anyways, the Chiefs just could not run the ball that game at all, and that has me concerned for them for the future. Just if you can figure out how to cover Marquez and I think it's who is their number one? I know Mecole
Juju
Hardman's on
Smith-Schuster.
Juju's on there.
Travis
I mean,
Kelsey.
Yeah,
He tends to
Kelsey's like
catch a couple
he's
balls.
like their pseudo.
I mean, yeah, all he's
Yeah,
got to do
receiver
is catch it, and then you can't really take him down once he gets running. But and then the Ravens beat the Saints on Monday Night Football, and no Ravens player had more than 2 catches in that game. Lamar didn't really have to pass it too much. He had a pretty good running game. Then they outlasted the Saints, got me to 3-3 in the week. So 25 for 33, like I said earlier, 75.75 CPP.
No one cares. Anyways, go ahead.
For my picks, I'm gonna talk about the Cowboys and the Packers, but I don't want to talk about the Packers too much because they're just stinking. My goodness, this will be the first time that Mike McCarthy's coming back to Lambeau, which is kind of like crazy to think about after like a couple of years since that kind of downfall happened with Aaron and the coach and the dispute and everything. I still have a little bit of a heart for Mike, just as a Packers fan, but
He did give you guys that Super Bowl.
I think it was time for him to leave when he did leave.
Agreed there.
But I mean, of course, he got us to the Super Bowl that year. So, but that being said, I think the Cowboys will probably roll in this one. There's nothing that is going to make me pick Green Bay this year until they win again. Ever since I've been a fan personally, they have never gone on a 5-game losing streak up until now. I've never seen this long stretch of stupidity and just utter cluelessness from an offense. And I know Jordan's giving me the sad eye right now. Poor baby.
You poor thing.
But
Yeah, I also want to talk about McCarthy's record off of a bye is 14-4. Impressively enough, somehow, but I mean, a lot of that might have been changed by Rodgers during his prime years when he was good.
Yeah.
But their defense also is just amazingly good at just not giving up points. They're number 3 in the NFL, 16.5 points per game, and they get after the QB. There's nothing that's going to make me think that the Green Bay's offensive line is going to be able to protect Aaron enough in order to give him the time to find whatever receiver is open that he doesn't like or that he doesn't have any type of chemistry with. So I got to go Cowboys in this one, 21, Packers 17.
Unfortunately, the Packers aren't doing very well right now. But I do have a pro Packers stat. NFL stats went 2-0-1 last week. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't really know how more I can keep using Packers stats because they don't really matter anymore. But he is 5-1 in his last 6 games versus the Cowboys. So
We did have that stat a couple weeks ago with the Bills game. They were on a 13 game primetime winning streak, and that didn't matter, of course.
worst. I mean, it was the Bills.
It doesn't really matter anymore.
No, you're exactly right. I don't even know if any of that stuff matters with them, but their confidence level is just not there right now, and I think all that kind of comes down to coaching and our leader, Aaron. He doesn't once anything bad happens in a game, I just don't think Aaron has the ability to come back from that right now at this point in his career. And they're in shambles. I don't know what direction they're going to go to because they're 3-6 right now. This team just needs to figure out if they're just going to start to try to rebuild or try to make a run at it next year. I want to rebuild. I'm over Aaron, to be honest.
You're in luck because we get a top 10 pick this year if you get taken
Probably
like
they
that.
have
Right,
the
yeah.
8-1 right now.
Bryce Young.
So for my next game, I wanted to talk about Sunday Night Football. This is Chargers from Niners. Chargers are 5-3. Niners are 4-4. California battle. I think this will probably be pretty offensive now that they got McCaffrey out there in San Francisco. I just love Shanahan and his ability to just create plays that are just always going to work. And I think Christian McCaffrey is the perfect utility tool for him to use. We saw that 2 weeks ago, or I guess it was last week right now, against the Rams. They got over 30 points, and McCaffrey had a game after his first full week with the Niners, with practice and everything. I hate the Niners personally as a Green Bay fan, but they look like a good team, and I feel like they could go on a long, long run this year, and I think this might be where it starts. I know they got the win against the Rams last week, but I think this is where we start thinking of them as one of the premier teams in the league that are not going to be able to be stopped. I know Jimmy G's in there. He's kind of a liability to me, but they've managed to get over that hump these past couple of years. I think they can just do it again, to be honest. But the Chargers, in order for them to have a chance in this game, they need to get some of their receivers back. I know Josh Palmer, he was decent last week as the number one in place because he's normally the number 3 spot behind Mike Williams and then Keenan Allen. We'll see if Keenan Allen plays in this game, but I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to step up against that San Francisco defense and everything. And the Chargers' run defense, they've allowed 200-plus rushing yards 3 out of the last 4 weeks. And you know McCaffrey's probably going to be feasting in that game just because knowing that their run defense is not the greatest, at least recently. And then the Niners, they're also coming off a bye. So you know Shanahan's going to be able to put that to good use. Although I did kind of look at his bye week stats, and I included the Super Bowl. He's 3-4 coming off of a rest week. So that's interesting to think about, but we'll see how it plays out.
So I don't have a bye week stat, but I do have a road stat for the Chargers, which is kind of weird. I mean, they don't really have a home field advantage, so
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
they just like playing on the road.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley, since he took over at the beginning of last year, is 4-1 against the spread as a road dog, and Justin Herbert is 7-3 against the spread as a road dog. So, I mean, I'd probably pick the Niners too. And Keenan Allen's been a game time decision for like the last 4 weeks, and he's played like maybe one of those games. He played like maybe 10 snaps or something. I don't know what's going on with him. Mike Williams is probably still going to be out for a while. Palmer was good, but I think what McCaffrey did a couple weeks ago against the Rams was just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Kyle Shanahan loves that new toy he's got. I'd go Niners in this game too, but the stat is pro Chargers. So.
Yeah.
And I didn't give my final score. I got Chargers 23, 49ers 27 here.
You know,
I do think it'll be close.
yeah.
But
You know, as a new member of the Atlanta Falcons fandom,
Mm-hmm.
did you guys catch the end of that Chargers and Falcons game last week?
The double fumble.
That was what the hell happened on that play. He picked up the fumble, nobody touched him, and they just drops it. The Chargers get it back, and they make the field goal. I think it was Mina Kimes. She's one of the hosts on Good Morning Football, if any of you guys watch that show. And she said the Chargers chargered that game, and the Falcons responded by falconing.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really, really good way
Yes.
of putting it.
Yes.
So, not really fun for me on Sunday.
one thing I do want to say, though, if this game ends up being super close, they do have the Chargers, I should say, do have a really reliable kicker. I think he has 2 or 3 game-winning field goals already.
Cameron Dicker, baby. Dicker the kicker.
Dicker the kicker.
What you know about Dicker the kicker, buddy?
Dicker the kicker. So Monday Night Football, I just want to talk about the Commanders and the Eagles. I love the Eagles this year. We all know about my Jalen Hurts pick before
Really?
the season started, and that
Really?
is coming to fruition exactly how I talked about it.
That's true.
Just saying.
That is true.
But anyways, fly Eagles fly. I would love to be an Eagles fan right now, or just a Philly fan. I'm not seriously considering changing teams, but if I had to choose a different
What?
team,
That's not how
if
it
I had to
works.
choose a
That's
different
not how it
team,
works.
I would choose the Eagles because obviously they're doing great right now.
I've always liked
that. But I've always loved their colors and everything. Fly Eagles fly, their fandom, everything like that. But anyways,
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
talking about the game just a little bit. Taylor Heineke, he's putting in some new energy with them at Washington, but I just don't think it's going to be able to get over the hump of that Eagles pass defense, and their rush defense is just crazy good with everyone they got. They're allowing less than 16.9 points per game. That's number 4 in the NFL, and they take the ball away a lot, and they don't give it up. I'm pretty sure they're plus like 13 in like turnover differential right now. That's number 1. Every possession for Washington is going to have to count in order for them to have a chance in this game. I just don't trust Taylor Heineke to not turn the ball over, make some of those mistakes, and be just an accurate passer in general to dice up that Eagles defense. And then we all know what Jalen Hurts can do. So I'm picking Eagles 31, Commanders 17.
Taylor Heineke and Cooper Rush are 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time against the spread. Taylor Heineke in his last 11 games, 9-2 against the spread. That's ridiculous.
That is.
That's almost not. Oh gosh, that's almost 90%. Almost 90% cover rate. I mean, this dude, he just finds a way. He found a way last week, even though they lost to the Vikings. He still covered the 3.5. He finds a way. I think the spread on this one's like 10 or 11. So think about it. Like the Eagles could dominate the game. They're up like 27-10, and then at the very last second, Taylor Heineke throws the touchdown. Then they cover. I mean, he's just a demon. He's so fun to watch.
I like Taylor.
He's
Taylor
so
Heineke.
fun to watch.
He's fun.
He probably pays attention to some of those odds just to
Yes.
keep track
Mhm.
of it.
And he watches the Inside Sports podcast.
Of course.
And he always gets those
Thanks for watching, Taylor.
sneakers and everything. He gets the sneakers and the teams that he beats and all that.
I don't think he'll be getting new sneakers this week, but
Yeah.
he may cover.
That's true. He certainly has Packers sneakers.
Yes, he does.
Anyways, that's been it for episode 9 of the Inside Sports Podcast. That is with the D and the E, in case you forgot about it, capitalized. And if you are listening on Spotify, please be sure to give us a like and a follow. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, please subscribe and also give that one a like. That's been all.